What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And also a big greeting to any of you who are watching the recording of this really important edition. You know, we've done over 500 shows of Global Peace Tribe since the start of the pandemic. But every now and then there's a show that I want everybody to watch. And this is one of those shows. At a time that a new war has broken out, it's especially important for us to have the kind of leaders you're going to hear from tonight sharing their amazing life stories, their dedication to creating an awakening world. We had booked this topic about a month ago of doing something on women's rights, gender equality. I want to thank Stacy Weller, one of our presenters, who kind of brought that to my attention. And then since then, some pretty amazing events have taken place in the world. And to talk a little bit more about that, I'm so grateful that Eden Amadora agreed to co-host this really important show. She's someone I have the greatest of respect for. She, of course, is an ordained priestess of the 13 Moon Wisdom Circle. And she's been on this show many times, and I've gotten to know her personally. She's an amazing, amazing soul. Very humble, very loving, and very dedicated to an awakening world. So I'm going to turn it over to you, to Eden, to share a little bit about your perspective about tonight's topic and what's going on in the world and why we're addressing this.
Thank you so much, Scott. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here with you all. And this is a particularly important and timely subject that we're focusing on tonight. I think it's amazing, Scott, like you said, that you had this show planned. And then just this week, Scott reached out to me and he sent me an article and he said, "Did you know that a woman just won the Nobel Peace Prize? And not just any woman, a woman in one of the most oppressed places in the world, where those systems of control of the feminine and the darkness and ignorance around gender equality still needs a lot of veil lifting, that a woman was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize who has fought tirelessly for gender equality." So this is really something to celebrate. And we're going to speak more about her. I'll just say her name, Narges Mohammadi. And I'm going to go deeper into the subject later because it's so important. And we're going to share a very special guest with you who grew up in post-revolutionary Iran. She grew up right after the revolution that really oppressed the feminine. So I am also excited to share my perspective from a divine feminine lens. Being a divine feminine mystery school teacher, I am an ordained priestess in the 13 Moon Mystery School, which when I discovered it, I was surprised how little I'd heard about the goddess at that time, 14 years ago. And for me, like many of you, 14, 15 years ago, the goddess was something we heard about in yoga classes. Oh, that's something from India, right? No, the goddess is alive and afoot. She's always been with us, equal to the divine masculine. There's just been a great sleep and forgetting, veils that have been over us, spells that have been cast upon us of forgetting and illusion. So my heart lit a flame in the last 14 years with this passionate mission of lifting those veils to bring both masculine and feminine into balance within, in the sacred union in the heart, and then to see that in the world and to be a part of this great awakening where that is a huge part of it. For the goddess is all about unity consciousness, unity that honors dazzling diversity, multiplicity. That's life. So I'm excited to be here to celebrate the feminine and the masculine in harmony and balance. Thank you so much for having me, Scott.
Thank you, Eden. And for those of you who might not know, we always start our shows right off the bat with music. One of the things about our shows that are kind of unique is that we interweave dynamic presenters like you're going to hear tonight with music. But I wanted to briefly let you know who's going to be joining us. A dear friend of mine, she was originally born in Pakistan. She's also an activist who has an amazing life story. Sasha Hurain is with us. And this is Mana, who Eden talked a little bit about, originally born in Iran, and also an amazing story. And then actually this is Stacy, who her reaching out to me is what really got this ball rolling. So thank you, Stacy. And we look forward to hearing from all of you. Tonight's going to be a longer show. Imagine we'll go for about 2 hours total. But to get the ball rolling, let's get ready. Put on your dancing shoes. Here is our beloved house musical artist, Elmer Sharp.
lighting form, and lighting form will lift us all. So don't give up on walking tall. The time is now, so heed the call, and wake up to the light of this new day. Because we are the heart of our world, the light in our world. We are the joy in our world, the love in our world.
Oh, I'm going to go to get a review. Let's all give some twinkles to beautiful Omashar. And thank you everyone for moving and grooving and dancing. You know, it all started with Eleanor Joy and Adora. And now it's beautiful to watch every week. It's like more and more people coming in and dancing. It's really quite wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Omashar. And we'll have another Omashar song, and also Omashar and Eden have put together something very special for us tonight. So we're looking forward to that. Also, I just want to acknowledge that every night we lead a meditation at 6:30 in collaboration with all of our friends from the Twin Ray community. And I see many of our Twin Ray community friends are already with us in this Zoom room. And also Brother Nicholas will be leading tonight's meditation, of course, dedicated to peace. Earlier this year, I had the pleasure to meet our first presenter. Her name is Zasha, and she was originally born in Pakistan. And she's had a most extraordinary life. And we actually were staying together in Sedona with a mutual friend of ours, and really got to know each other. We spent a few weeks together. We even took a road trip. And I'm so impressed with her background. She's got the background of an attorney. She's been an activist, and she is so dedicated to truly changing the world. But Zasha does everything with love. And it's especially impressive because she's endured a lot of pain, and she's observed a lot of suffering and seen a lot of the worst of humanity. And yet she's not cynical. She keeps her heart open. And so, Zasha, thank you for joining us tonight. And I'd love to just have you share with our audience some of your opening thoughts about tonight's topic.
Thank you so much, Scott, for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. Hi, everyone. It's such an honor to be here. I'm still kind of, landing in the Western world a bit. I've just recently moved from Pakistan to Australia. I'm now in Byron Bay. And there's certain pieces here that are shocking me. There's certain things that I'm like, oh, I think when we're in Pakistan and looking to the West, we're expecting a lot more, perhaps, in some ways. But it's also this very interesting point of connection where it's like, oh, so even though things in Pakistan are a lot more stark and black and white, the issues are still like the world is still facing the same issues together. And we're still working through them. And some of that might show up in the West in like more subtle ways that are harder to really see all the time, but are still present. And I suppose the gift of my background, what it brings is because I've seen them in that stark way, I can sense them in this moving in the subtle as well. And it's so beautiful that we've all gathered here on this such an important topic, because I don't think that humanity can truly be free until every aspect of us is fully liberated and accepted and loved. Until we are creating hierarchies, less than, more than, we're creating stereotypes and otherings, we're stuck. We can't ascend. And a part of ascending is embracing all of this, because all of this is within. As within, so without. If we had embraced this within, we would be living in a different reality. So we haven't. And this is the work that we do need to do. And I feel sad when I go to spiritual events in Australia and elsewhere as well in America. I feel sad that the way gender is being brought forth and the way that feminism is being sort of perceived and stereotyped, that saddens me. I grew up with my brother, who was 4 years younger than me. So by the time he was hitting that age, I witnessed what patriarchy does to boys firsthand. And I cry every time for the brother that I lost. He's alive in physical form, but he's not. So much of him has been killed in the way that he was raised, and that breaks my heart. And so much of me was attempted, at least, to be killed. And I had the gift of seeing through it. I had the gift of inquiry and question at a very young age. So I resisted, and I paid the price of that resistance, and sustained a lot of damage from it, but I didn't let all of me die through it. It's held on to my light. And that's the message I want to bring. I want to say, this is about all of us. You can't have men who are liberated without women who are liberated. It's not possible. We've not seen that. In very strict patriarchies, do you think men are free? No, they're not. They're not free. They're just as shackled. In fact, they're forced to do things that they hate themselves for all the time. How do you think they feel when they murder their own daughters or sisters? Because they must, if they want to save face in society. And then everybody celebrates them for it. But part of them dies with that too.
I think, and same thing with over-sexualizing. I've counseled so many men that have such deep regret over having date raped someone or abused, molested, sexualized someone, and then they woke up enough to realize the horror of what they've done. And you're absolutely right. We're going to hear much more from Zasha. I'm so grateful you're here. And I'm going to turn it over to Eden to introduce our next guest, who, again, we're really happy to have with us. Take it away, Eden.
Thank you, Scott. Our next guest, Mana Shams, is actually a very, very close friend of mine, a dear friend and soul sister. Welcome, Mana. And Mana is also, she has come through so much to be where she is, not only free and fully expressed in a place that she can be in her shining, but she has gone through so much suppression and suffering, having been born in Iran in a time where she has shared with me even wearing colors was forbidden, where for her to do her art or express herself out in the world was dangerous, where she had to be accompanied everywhere by a brother or an older sister, where women were not safe on the streets. And just a little bit more about Mana. I think Scott's going to drop her bio in that. Born right after the revolution, her spirit suffered witnessing the unfairness of what the government was teaching, which I call the spell casting, the conditioning that starts when children are young. And Mana, I know you and I have talked about this heroine's journey you've taken from suffering not only at the hands of family members who did mistreat you, violate you in that culture, but even the feminine that is so deeply suppressed begins to entrain their daughters into that belief system, perhaps to protect them, or also because of just such deeply ingrained belief systems. So I know you've come so far. I'd love you to share a little bit more and celebrate where you are now. I know you liberated yourself not only from the oppression of the country, the government, the oppressive nature of even family members, but that you freed yourself from a marriage that was within that mentality of suppression of the feminine as well, and probably saved your life.
Thank you so much, Eden. It's such a beautiful and honor to be here, and I can feel everybody's love and the heart, and it's very humbling. And thank you so much for inviting me. It's been years since I moved from Iran, 11 years, and I feel like I have come out of the concept of time and space, because the 30 years of my life, that most of it was in Iran, with the freedom that I have now, I feel like I've been time and space. In 7 years, I lived so free, and the rich and the quality of my life has been so big that the other 30 years already faded. But still, I honor that part of myself, because that was a stepping stone for me to be here. I remember I was born right after a revolution, which they call our revolution the burnt revolution. We were burnt because as soon as the revolution happened, they separated women and men, and the country from very liberal turned into secular in a way, and they stopped the information to come through. So we weren't able to share any books. We weren't able to watch anything we wanted. They censored information, they censored music. We were not, up to 17, I was not allowed to listen to pop music. It was illegal in my country. And I saw that how they boxed, and they just allowed certain information to come through. So the knowledge was our power. So they took our knowledge away, and ways so we can have a peek into the outside world to see how people are living. I remember I was 14, and usually 14 years old, they're still learning to have fun and play with their friends. And for me, I started having bigger questions. I was asking for God, because the main pressure and the religion that they were teaching us, in my little heart, it was not fair. And I was like, how God can be unfair? How can I be half of my brother? I don't see I am half of my brother. And that's why I started peeking in and reading to see what other religion says, and which I was lucky that I was one of the first generation that we accessed internet. And instead of me having fun on internet, I would sit till 2 a.m. and read about different religions so I can find my truths, because what it was chewed on and given to me, it was not right. In a country that if you are literally considered half a man, because if I see somebody kill somebody, if I go to court, they would not accept my, if I say I saw that, because I am half a human. How hard is that? Or if I die, if a car hit me, if I was a boy, there would be a bit different price given to my family than me. I physically have half of worth. And unfortunately, it is sad that being in a oppression, being in a place that if a husband dies and your children is not yours, your children are your family, your husband's family, and they get to decide if you get to have your children to raise them or not. But these all pushed all my buttons to get stronger from inside, to want to seek for truth and for freedom, for equality within myself. And after I married a man that was Iranian, but he grew up in US. So because I was liberal and I could not fit with a person who was fully raised in Iran, so I thought that he would be different. And when I got married with him, and he totally shifted and became just like a person who was raised, because it's so embedded in the blood. It's so, they give, like in the family, they say, how many children you have? They say, I have 4 children and 1 daughter. And that's sad. And usually the parents will give so much right and freedom to the sons of the family that they think they are different, which in their innocent world, they believe it. And the mothers, which especially in my family, my mother, it's so, they're trained to be preparing the girl to be nothing. So be a servant to the man, be the servant to the family, rather than raising them into their goddesshood, and it's been very challenging. Even to this day, it is a challenge. After I am living in a free country, my mom would call me. It's like, I can't believe there is no man above your head. Mom, I am my own man.
You are your own authority. You are your own inner authority. Yeah, so I celebrate this choice that you made to liberate yourself, and I know that so many are not so fortunate. And in the light of who just won the Nobel Peace Prize, Narges Mohammadi, and how important this is that the world know this, she is serving multiple sentences in Iranian prison, over 30 years, 31 years in total, of these different charges for standing up for women's rights and equality, simply for speaking out, especially in the light of the brutal beatings around headscarves not being properly placed, and not just the one that was brought to light very, very widely recently. Again, I think Stacy just shared that. And if you can pop that in the chat again, Stacy, for our audience, it's happening so frequently. And I would just, if you have any thoughts, we can also come back. Scott, I know that we only had a little.
We're at 6:31 already. So
Okay.
definitely want to hear your thoughts on that. And of course, we're going to hear from Stacy. But we're at 6:31, and I want to welcome the people from Twin Ray and Global Peace Tribe that are here for our evening meditation. And we will definitely hear much more from Eden and Mana and Zasha and Stacy. But every night we do have a meditation, and it's a kind of for a combination of our Global Peace Tribe and Twin Ray community. And on Wednesday nights, we're blessed to have beautiful beloved brother Nicholas. He's coming to us from the Haven in Ashland, which is the Twin Ray Spiritual Center. And I've asked Nicholas to focus tonight's meditation on the subject of peace, given that we have this horrific new war that's just broken out. So the spotlight is on you, Nicholas, and thank you and welcome back to the Awakening World.
Thank you very much, Scott. And it's a great honor and privilege to have the opportunity to be on with all of you and to hold space for all these beautiful souls and what we're sharing. And what we're sharing tonight is really important and intense, not easy to look at or to face. And one could maybe sit and laugh and think from going to the conversation that we've been speaking of and how important and significant that is. And then going to meditate and be like, that is, what good is that? It's a little silly. It's a little woo-woo. I choose to say otherwise. And I think we agree, and why we meet together in this space is because through love will we find a way. That love can only be found first and foremost within, as we've been speaking into, starting within, in that battleground within. And that is the art of meditation. Sometimes meditation can get confused where it's like, oh, clear the mind, feel peace, feel perfect. This is not the true way. The art of meditation is to feel. As we find ourselves in the spiritual center on a main street, lots of sounds, lots of things happening, whatever's going on in our mind, in our hearts, we're going to feel. And I want to invite in the intention, specifically tonight, to begin to feel and embrace and send love to what's going on in the world. And the war is occurring in many places. And just come together and pray our hearts out and feel it. Feel the sadness, feel the anger, whatever might be there. But remember what and who we truly are, that we are a soul, and to trust in our heart's wisdom. And what we're speaking into, the suppression of the woman, of the feminine, but the true nature of the divine feminine has the capacity and the wisdom to be able to feel and hold it all. So I would love to invoke that as our intention this evening, and to unite in that in prayer and do our best to make a shift, to make an impact, to choose love in the face of all the fear and all of the chaos that is occurring, to sit and pause and to choose otherwise. So as that feels good for you, I invite you to begin to connect to that as you allow the eyes to fall closed. Allow softness in the jaw. And begin to feel, check in, what's going on in that world within. To deepen that awareness, we'll begin to rub the palms. Create some warmth in the hands. When you feel that warmth, let the hands gently rest into the heart. Left hand first, right on top. Bring that warmth in. Connect to the warmth, the wisdom of the heart. As they say, love will always find a way. May we unite in that intention and love. And take this moment to pause and to feel and to pray our hearts out. To face it and to embrace it. And not choosing a side, but really see what's going on and have that compassion, the capacity to be able to forgive and see that we're all truly longing for this love. We're all feeling some sort of pain. May we feel it. Feel it for the world as much as you can in this moment. As we take this pause, let the breath be deep. Let the body be soft. Feel more. Drop into that heart. Trust. bowing, giving thanks to the grace, to the wisdom of the Divine Feminine, the Divine Mother. May we have the courage and the strength to feel the pain, to feel and face the sadness, and no longer react, but to respond. We all choose to respond with love in this moment now, together as one. A love that is true and sincere, a love that does not waver or wobble, a love that is grounded and authentic, a love that serves, a love that respects, a love that is willing and understanding. A love that knows no boundaries, no races, no colors. Just sees the truth that is eternal. Let's begin to relax the hands from the heart and let the palms come up by the shoulders, palms facing forward. And let's send out this love, making a prayer for peace, for unity. In your own way, make a prayer. Let's take a deep breath in here. And a full exhale. And slowly let the palms unite in prayer at heart center. To seal up this meditation, may we make the prayer within ourselves to always remember to listen, to turn within, heal, to respond with love, and never doubt the power of love, the power of your heart's wisdom. May we give thanks especially and call forth the wisdom of the Divine Mother, Divine Feminine, to hold us in these times, especially the children. And one final deep breath in, and a final sigh. In full trust and surrender. By thy grace may it be so. I thank you all so much for being who you are and for showing up and for allowing me the opportunity to guide you this evening. Sending all my love.
Brother Nicholas, thank you so much for your beautiful sharing. It's always such a joy to have you with us. Nicholas is with us every Wednesday night. You can find him in Ashland, Oregon, where he teaches. He is our yogini master. But if you're also interested in private yoga with Nicholas, he does beautiful private sessions via Zoom. We've put his information into the chat box. And for all of you watching on Facebook, you can email him at his name, which is Nicholas Thales, NICHOLAS THALES @gmail. Nicholas, thank you so much. It was very, very beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Sky. I appreciate you very much.
Love you too, brother. And we're going to go right into a beautiful special experience that Eden and Omashar have created for tonight. Take it away, Eden and Omashar.
Before we begin, I would just to remind everyone to remain muted, even if Scott features you. If you can keep your mute on, the sound will be much clearer and better. Thank you so much. Omashar, you want to give me the first chord so I know what key we're in? Thank you, love. And Omashar has put the lyrics in the chat. Even though you'll remain muted, you can sing along with me once you get the melody. Just feel it in your heart. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the silent stars. May peace, may peace, may peace fill your soul. Let peace, let peace, let peace make us whole. The peace of the running waves to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the silent stars. May peace, may peace, may peace fill your Let peace, let peace, let peace make us whole. Deep peace of the running waves to you, deep peace of the quiet earth, deep peace of the flowing air to you, deep peace of the silent stars. May peace, may peace, may peace fill your soul. Let peace, let peace, let peace make you whole.
Thank you so very much, Eden and Amashar. Let's just take a moment of silence and, in your own unique way, visualize peace. Thank you, everyone, for being true global peace drivers. Everyone watching and everybody watching on Facebook, in the Conscious Awakening Network, and on Alan Steinfeld's YouTube channel. You know, we live on a planet of polarity. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So just know that as we read about the horrors of what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Ukraine, we are that opposite reaction. We are the peacekeepers. That's who we are. It's my honor to introduce our next presenter. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, she's actually who kind of initiated the vision for tonight. And this is Stacy Sri Weller. And many know her as the mother of modern Shaktiism. She is the actual founder of Shakti Tribe, an empowered community of feminist leaders. And she's all about gender equality and ERA education. She's a relationship coach and very focused also on feminine-centered yoga education. So Stacy, thank you so much for inspiring tonight's show. And look at how it all kind of is unfolded. And we look forward to hearing your opening thoughts.
Thank you so much, Scott. And everyone that's shared, I love it because I think our true nature is peace. And we're actually coming back to that. And that's what the Shakti tradition is all about as well. Because in yoga, we have Shiva and Shakti, the masculine and feminine, and Shiva represents peace. He holds the safe space for Shakti to rise. So we're actually creating safe space for women, girls, and the sacred feminine. And those energies are expanding in consciousness. And right now things are shaking up. It looks a little crazy. So Shakti Tribe is really about affirming that women, girls, and those that don't identify as men already have spiritual equality. Our bodies are sacred. Sexuality is sacred, and our work is sacred. So everything we do is sacred. For some reason, there was something dropped into the batch of human consciousness that doesn't reflect who we are. And that's, that's thousands of years old. So I don't think there's really anybody to blame for that. But the important thing is that where we are now. And I wanted to share something. I'm also going to share something in the chat.
Stacy, you got muted accidentally. Hold on 1 second. Let's find you.
I got it. Sorry. I think I tried to put those in the chat. So anyway, there's information in the chat. And I encourage anybody to interact with me. Does anyone know about the Equal Rights Amendment to the US Constitution, guaranteeing gender equality? That is the 28th Amendment to the US Constitution. Feminists in the US have been fighting for this for years. And finally, in January of 2020, 38 states and both houses of Congress ratified the amendment. And what that means is it's basically part of our Constitution. However, we have an executive branch, a judicial branch, and a congressional branch that are refusing to take effective action to publish that into the Constitution. And there's a reason for that. And I think Zasha and Mana, we've talked about bully consciousness. So that's the unbalanced masculine. So the divine feminine is in direct conflict with the bully consciousness. And so they're fighting it. And the other thing is, this is something that's not well known. I talked to politicians. I've talked to a couple of senators. I talked to a mayoral candidate. None of them know about the status of the Equal Rights Amendment, which is part of the Constitution. And basically what it says, and what this is what feminism is about, is men are equal to women, or more specifically, if we're talking about Tantra, the feminine energy is equal to the masculine energy. And together we can do amazing, magical things. And our true nature is to be creators. So that's where we're going. And when things seem to be falling apart, many of my teachers have told me they're actually falling together. So we're seeing a lot of shifting going on. And I wanted to also let you all know that, back in 1776, pretty much from 1776 to 1920, women in our country were considered property. So we didn't go anywhere without men. We were basically had slave status. A lot of people weren't educated. Women were not educated. We had a group of people that came together in 1848 at a convention. Women were absolutely terrified to go. Men spoke for them, but basically 100 people just wrote down a document that says, we think that men and women should be equal. And that's really what started it. And the most powerful, amazing feminists, I'm going to say Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Stanton, if they wouldn't have come along, I don't know where we'd be. But they're the ones that really got the ball rolling. Elizabeth Stanton wrote a book, The Woman's Bible. So, and the Bible basically, the Woman's Bible basically said there's nothing in any religious doctrine that says women are should be subjugated to men. And it was just a way to control and manipulate and abuse women. So, and then fast forward to 1920, we actually passed the 18th Amendment to keep drunk men basically from beating up women. So that's part of US history, which is a lot of people don't know about. So it's important to realize that, in our country, even like 1976, women couldn't open a checking account or a credit card on their own often. My sister had this issue. She was a college graduate. She had a degree, and she had a job. She was a teacher. She couldn't get a credit card in her name. So it's very relatively recent. We've been subjugated. And to reflect some of what's been said tonight in our world, and I borrowed this from the Minister of Equality of Spain, we've actually normalized violence against women. And I'll take that even further. It's violence against women has become entertainment and sex education in the United States of America. And the Dalai Lama, actually, meanwhile, he says that Western women will save the world. So I think it's really important that we raise awareness about the Equal Rights Amendment that's already, we basically consider it law. The state of Hawaii considers it to be law. There's several congressional, several of our lawmakers that do as well. And I believe that raising awareness outside of politics is really important, because people like you are the ones that are going to make the difference. And you know what? Susan B. Anthony didn't have the internet. We do. She didn't have social media. We do. So it's really important to raise awareness, because women are here to lead with compassion, wisdom, and most of all, love, into a whole new world based in peace. And the Peace Warriors, I believe that your tribe is, we're cousins. We're all one family, humanity. And my tribe is known as the Shambhala Warriors, and that means place of peace. So we're creating it, and I think it's important to hold that vision, that we're creating that together. So thank you.
I'm going to bring all of our presenters on. Thank you very much, Stacey, for that beautiful opening thought. Thank you, each of you, for your opening thoughts. And the first question, and probably something I'd like for each of you to respond to: what's one action that you would each like to suggest our audience can take? What's one action or one change of thinking that you would like to request of our audience? And we can go in popcorn style, whoever wants to go first.
Well, I would like to invite that for everyone in our audience listening all over, that honoring feelings is a really important step in our global awakening. And we've been a system of suppression around feelings and empathy as well, because of all of this conditioning. Men are put in the man box at a very young age. Little boys are told to suck it up and don't be a beep, if you know what I mean, which dishonors the fact that the yoni is the greatest, strong, and magnificent portal of life. And to say that your tears as a young boy make you somehow weak. So the action that I would invite, it's more of a shift of consciousness around honoring the heart and feelings in both men and women, so that we can be more empathic to injustice and that which is out of alignment with our heart, knowing that we bring back that ability to feel one another more and more. And then the veils will just keep lifting. That's my invitation.
It's amazing that you're sharing that, Eden. Today, I was working with a client. It's a man from Texas who has just come into the awareness that when he feels sensitive feelings, he goes to anger, because that's what he learned. His father taught him, you don't cry, you don't show confusion, you don't show any of those uncomfortable feelings. You get angry instead. And I showed him this little document called The Anger Iceberg. And he was like, oh my God, that's me. And so what you're saying is absolutely true. Thank you.
And for just one more piece around that, for women that are with men that are struggling to feel their feelings, because as women, we are feelers, we're deep feelers more naturally, to risk also allowing your feelings to be seen. I know that can be a challenge with the masculine, whether we're afraid or we're part of that same soup we're all swimming in, which is honoring this kind of mental orientation to figure things out with the head, to drop yourself into your heart, to let tears stream, to open and entrain your man or brother or father or son into that being normal, to allow that. That's divine feminine, the heart.
Beautiful, Eden. Thank you. I'm going to bring everybody back up and see who wants to respond next. And while I do that, I'm going to read a couple comments from our audience. Tiara writes, when natural sexuality and sensuality are oppressed, men get angry and women get sad. MDR also wrote, and men's tender souls need the deepest of nurturing. while the young women in our country don't even know how relatively recent some sexual freedoms are. And Don Drake wrote, yes, more men need to tap into and cultivate their inner Shakti. Dia Therese writes, 1974 was when she was first able to get a credit card after her divorce. So yeah, it's remarkable. And Laura Chamberlain writes, Eden, that shame around showing emotions is something that even women do, which is true. It's true. Love to hear from Mana, Zasha, and Stacy. What are your thoughts as far as a shift in consciousness or an action we can take?
Yeah, I will actually start by saying that not crying is what creates weakness, actually. It's the biggest killer of humanity. So this is the paradox. It's sort of deconstructing what we have been conditioned with. We have so many stereotypes. This is what men are. This is what women are. And the shift that I invite is to notice the divide and conquer that has been dominating the world, because that is how people are ruled. You divide and you conquer them. And one of the biggest oracles that I received earlier this year is that the war between the genders is keeping patriarchy alive. And so when we can unite, because out of the 46 chromosomes, there's only one chromosome that's different between a man and a woman. That's it. There is so much more that is exactly the same between us. And that one chromosomal difference is exaggerated, stereotyped, essentialized. It's natural for women and that's natural for men. And it becomes this thing that then divides us. And while we are attacking one another, we get conquered by war. And I actually did a lot of research into the birth of patriarchy in all the regions in the world, and with a special focus on the Islamic patriarchy. And here's what I found. It was war and empire that brought patriarchy. Patriarchy is needed to sustain war, to create empire, because only men who are disconnected from their bodies, from their families, from their roles, and reduced to provider and protector, only they will go feed the war machine. Only they will go and be a soldier. And that's what is the foundation of patriarchy. The women were commodified so that the men could be taken. That's what my studies have revealed. It's like women were made less human. And so women become really important and a threat because if they refuse to be commodities, then men can't be bought and sold as slaves in the war trade. And so to really see this, like, let's step beyond this. Like, this is not about fighting one another. This is not about reducing men. In fact, what emasculates men is every time they look down on the feminine, they get emasculated, because then somehow, as soon as masculinity is defined in opposition to femininity, right, it becomes this specter that's never met. And they're always less than, always insecure. Am I man enough? And that is weakness, you see. That is weakness. Not being able to cry, that is weakness. Not being able to show your woundedness, that is weakness. You want to be strong? Show up fully. Have the courage to be vulnerable and to see who we all are. And can we just join in love so that this war system that is here to oppress us all and divide us all can finally fail, and we can rise into the new earth that is love-based.
Thank you, Zasha. Each and every one of you, what you're sharing is so beautiful and so wise. and in many ways very shocking that we still, as humanity, are still so primitive in some ways. It's like, as you're saying these things, it's like, it's such common sense, and yet look at how far we have to go to have it be universally adopted and practiced. Mana, Stacy, we would love to hear what you want to share.
Well, I feel the most important thing is to connect with our mother, this big planet that we live on. And I think we have been disconnected from the gravitational force of Earth, which brings us in the same rhythm with the Earth. And our, as the masculine, the father sky meets the earth, the mother, that within connection of both, we are who we are. It's that they've never been separated. This whole creation is created by these two energies dancing together. So there is not that one is more and one is less. I think connecting back to nature, slowing down, bringing our rhythm, our mental race that as a patriarchy is on and constantly their projection in the future. And because of the future is what we are, it's causing a lot of blockages of living fully in the now. Now is infinity. As we drop in the now and the presence with our body, we naturally, the state of peace is there. The peace is the most natural thing for being. It's the nature, it's the trees, it's the flowers. But if you bring out the past and the future, and we open up ourselves to fully live in presence and cherishing each other, that's where peace comes from, the fountain of our being. And
Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank
It
you.
reminds me so much of the inner marriage when Mana was making this gesture with the Divine Father, whether it's like the solar logos, the language of light, and then matter, that our heart is the center point. When you're making this movement, I was feeling the above and below as the left and the right, the masculine and feminine, it all comes back to the center where we're all needing that inner marriage, that center point of balance again. Thank you for bringing that in.
Of course, we're going to go to you next, Stacy, but I do want to read a couple more comments. And of course, we will take any questions that any of you have. Dia Therese writes, because I was strong, I did not cry for 10 years after the early death of my precious mother. I was looked up to in how well I handled the deaths of my brother, my husband, my best buddy. I had committed at age 10, following my grandfather's death, when my young friend found me to comfort me to not cry like a baby. Thank you for sharing that, Dia. And I'm glad that you've discovered the power of your tears. Sylvia writes, maintaining the gender binary helps uphold the patriarchy. Gender exists on a spectrum in nature. Verbal and emotional gender fluidity helps us collectively live more richly and deeply. For example, Sylvia identifies as a gender expansive womb being Sib star, beyond woman, and Si star. So thank you. That's a beautiful modeling. I've loved that. Thank you. Stacy, I'm putting the spotlight on you and eager to hear what you would like to share.
First of all, I love everything that y'all shared. It was really beautiful. And I think it's true. Nature is our true nature. Mother Nature, Mother Earth, not objectifying Mother Earth either. Sometimes we call her the environment, and it's much more appropriate to call her Mother Earth. And of course, being objectified as subhuman is part of how we've been kept dumbed down and divided. And I think, Eden, I love, you all touched on feeling. So I really think that the divine feminine is able to feel everything in the present moment. And I think that's part of reclaiming our spirituality, because women, I know women in our country have become emasculinized because the masculine expression is validated and the feminine expression most of the time isn't. And we're starting to realize how important the nurturers are. In fact, we would have fewer wars if we had more nurturers, or if we had more equality, of course. And I'm going to recommend a few things. I don't know if anybody's seen Barbie, but I think Barbie is a really amazing movie, and Mattel is making lots of money off of it. But it's a really it's a light way to explore gender equality. And of course, they swing it completely to the other way, but there's conversations within each of those little bits. And then I also, just back to language, I think one thing that we do is we sometimes call women girls. I encourage you, if you're a woman, to call yourself a woman or higher. Goddess, yes, I think so. Priestess, yes, maybe witch, I don't know. Something that feels empowering. And I didn't think it was a big deal. And sometimes I'd say, hey, girls' night out. And then I had a conversation with one of my African-American brothers, and he was talking about African-American men being called boy. And that was a way that African-American men were kept down. So anyway, I think that's really an important piece, is languaging. And then I'm going to ask everybody if
You accidentally muted yourself, Stacey.
okay. I'll put those things in the chat again. I've got the petition for the ERA, and then also John Oliver did a really great brief history of US women, which is also funny and tragic at the same time. It's like 15 minutes of US history. I think it's excellent. So great conversation. Thank you.
Stacey, I want to comment and then read some of the comments in the chat too. When you're talking about women calling each other girls, I noticed in my circles, wisdom circles, priestess circles, that we were still calling each other, hey guys, did you hear this? Guys, come here. And I was like, whoa, what if we flip it to Gaia? Gaia's daughters, Gaia's sisters, Gaia's emissaries. So now in the 13 moon circles, it's kind of caught like fire, and we're referring to each other as Gaia's, meaning honoring Mother Earth. And that was one of the comments up above. Yes, women have been masculinized, says Ellie, in our culture. Calling us guys is so defeminizing. We're not guys, we are women. I even had my teenage son calling me bro and dude. And I'm like, I am not your bro, and I am definitely no dude. I am your mother. Honor the mother. So yeah, we have deep grief equals deep joy. Feeling is healing. And I would like to comment about the Barbie movie personally, because I had mixed feelings about it. I understand that the director, writer, can you remind me of her name? I know she's a famous director. There's a lot of research she did before she made the movie, and there's something about horses. Stacey, can you stay on with me? I really wanted to converse with you about that. So yeah, do you remember the scene where Ken sees the horses and he's like, whoa, it's a man's world because of horses? There's actual research that I think Zasha referred to about the conquerors, when they domesticated horses. That's when this whole thing began. That's when the patriarchy began. The horses, the domestication of horses, have a lot to do with the war machine that built empire. So, Stacey, my challenging part with the Barbie movie is that, I know for those who haven't seen, this is a big spoiler, that the women work together to fool and manipulate the men to take back their power. And I think it is another level of patriarchal imprinting when the feminine drops into that low frequency of manipulation in any way, rather than working together in transparency, love, trust, and collaboration with the masculine to co-lead. So it's not about going back to the matriarchy. It's about synarchy, co-leading now in this awakening world. So this was my challenge with her choice in the scripting.
Mhm. Yeah, and I agree with you about that. And the writer did a lot to bring things out, and I had the same issue. But the thing that I loved is it actually gives men an opportunity to see what it feels like to have the script flipped as well. And it's, you know, it's a comedy too.
Right.
So hey, like, what does it feel like?
Yeah, a step in the right direction, right? Oops, I think we
Like
froze.
to be a second-class citizen, right? Horses represent power. Horses represent power, and Shakti represents power, right? So yeah, I mean, there's things in the movie that, you know, I don't, you know, like there's a scene that's about, you know, the Ken's serenade the Barbies, and that is they're talking about domestic abuse there. So, you know, it's not perfect, but it's we're having conversations. So if we're going to rise the divine feminine, we got to start having conversations about it. And yeah, it's actually good for men to, I think, just, hey, what would it be like to be a second-class citizen for an hour and a half? You know, and yes, I love the idea of like, hey, let's experience equality. Maybe the next movie will be that. And you know, I'm sure there'll be a sequel because they're making so much money. And they found that if you you know, empower women and you raise these issues, you know, you make money. If everything, all good things happen when you're kind and loving and compassionate to the feminine of your species.
Christy,
and you bring these issues out to be conversation about.
Christy Michaels is saying Barbie is only the beginning of the conversation. And I agree with Christy and with you that at least the conversation is started, and using humor, using art to infiltrate the matrix with higher frequencies of consciousness. It's so important. Yes. When you said horses are power and Shakti is power, I've been contemplating the suppression of the snake and the dragon throughout religious patriarchal history, Abrahamic religions as well, because Shakti is Kundalini energy. It's the rising of our own evolutionary life force and our enlightenment. So I don't know if I'm freezing. You were freezing a little bit. Could you hear me, Stacey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Shakti is what's waking us all up right now. You know, I really think we're bringing in some higher frequencies, and the power is not seen right now. It's part of the feminine. It's not seen, but it's coming in. She's coming in, right? She's here. I think that the vibration of Gaia herself is rising, and as her children, our vibration's rising as well. We can't escape it, right?
Beautiful.
Our consciousness is rising.
Thank you so much. Yes, I could see Mana.
Thank you.
Yes.
I would, you know, you saw our opening video, and we say we're here to inform and we're here to inspire. And so I have a question for each of you. What's something that you are observing or have seen that is inspirational? And especially, Zasha, maybe something you could share about what leads to hope or inspiration in what you've seen happening in your worldview, maybe even in Pakistan, likewise for you, Mana. Because it's extraordinary having women that are from very different parts of the world, and we've heard about some of the really hard stuff, but what are some things that give you hope or that provide inspiration? And Zasha, maybe we'll start with you if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah. I think the biggest gift of us coming together is actually to be able to see the conditioning, because each culture has its own brand of that conditioning of what is feminine, what is masculine, what is natural order. And each culture has a different version, which then shows us what a construct is within each culture, right? It helps us separate the chaff from the grain, so to speak. And one of the pieces actually that I received in my own spiritual journeys with the Cosmic Mother was that humanity has so distorted what is masculine and feminine energetically, the principle itself, like, because the way that patriarchy functioned, all the things that were threatening, that were, unacceptable, were pushed on and labeled as feminine, right? And what they needed in their soldiers was labeled as masculine. So it wasn't based, like, that's what it was really based on. This was social engineering to support empire. This is what it really, like, at the core of it was. And so when we look at, these constructs, like, for example, this idea around manipulation, around victimhood, often the woman is, considered the victim, right? And similarly, the manipulator. And what you notice is actually that it is the all-male parliaments that refuse to allow men to be victims when they are, right? Like, for example, when I was in the UK a decade ago, they didn't consider that a man could be raped by law. In Pakistan, an all-male parliament said that in order to be molested, the person has to be a girl. Like, as boys can't be molested. And it's so common in Pakistan. There's so many cultures that actively molest boys, like tribes that do that. It's stark. And so these are things that are constructed, right? I mean, the number, like in Pakistan, like I woke up in my college and I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. The men are gossiping way more than the women. What's going on here? I was always taught that women gossip. And let's remove these filters. It's not this or that. This is not, like when we try to just make a thing, like we all do all the things. And if you remove access to direct power from any human, whatever the gender, whatever the background, remove access to direct power, the only path available to them is manipulation. And that's what they do, which is indirect power, indirect access to power, because direct access is not available. If direct access is available, most humans will not choose manipulation. So what I invite us to really do and be inspired by through this exchange is like, let's break all this down. All the stereotypes, all the, women are this and men are that, and, all of that. And let me blow your mind even more. Psychology research found, I think about a decade ago, that boys are more emotionally sensitive than girls, like young boys. Right? And what does patriarchy teach us? That, boys don't need the emotional support. And so then parents don't provide it. The amount of violence we do to little boys and little girls is horrifying. And we don't even see it. The biggest haiku of patriarchy was recruiting the parents. And so the parents think that they're doing what is right for their children. And they're the ones who are then traumatized, which is why I became a trauma specialist, actually, because trauma is how patriarchy functions. It traumatizes us into oppressor and victims. So, yeah, that's my inspiration point. Let's break all this down together.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's time to go back to Mana. And Mana, I'd love to just know how it was for you seeing that the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to, and I'll let you pronounce her name because I don't want to mess it up. Was this someone that you had followed, was inspired by? What was your relationship to her before and now having won the Nobel Peace Prize?
Nargis Mohammadi is her name. And I myself wasn't very familiar with Nargis Mohammadi, but unfortunately in my country, things are upside down, and the thieves and the villains are running free, and our jails are full of writers and artists and filmmakers that speak the truth. And she's among one of them. And she also, as much as I heard about her, and she got in jail for speaking and trying to protect the woman and being a human rights activist. And then she goes into the jail, and there she sees and witnesses that there is rape. The women are being raped in the jail, and she speaks about that. And also they extend her sentence because she again spoke. So that is unfortunate to hear her story, but her story is the story of so many artists and so many open-minded people that they're trying to make a difference in, especially my country.
Mana, I heard that she hasn't seen her own children in like 5 to 7 years, something like this, because her husband, who's also an outspoken activist who was jailed himself for equality rights activism, is now living in France with the children. And that Narges was not only punished more with jail time, she was given 154 lashes simply for speaking out. This kind of Dark Ages barbaric treatment for being a lamplifter, a truth teller. And I think for all of us to pray for her tonight, to pray for her and the other activists, not only in Iran, but other countries with such a dark and heavy-handed government. And I know before we even came on, Stacy was saying that our own government here in America, which we feel we have so many freedoms, there's still so much suppression of truth. So this is my prayer for Narges, for all the activists, and for the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, to come to light, that we lift these veils together.
I see a question just came in for either Zasha or Mana. In the Quran, are women considered equal to men?
In the Quran, there is a part that says your woman are your land. So plant anything you want in there and harvest as much as you want. That's a part of Quran. But based on these rules that are in the country is what they say that it is based on Quran and based on Islam. And but they also advertise that Islam hasn't been, the Quran is one of the books that hasn't been touched since the day it was wrote. But the translation of Quran and the way that they mix it into the politics has been constantly changing based on what's the timing and what they are trying to have at that time that benefits the religious leader. Some days the eating shark meat is haram, and another day eating shark meat is halal again. So as much as I know, a man, it cannot be equal if a man is allowed to marry 4 wives and have up to 40 lovers.
Wow.
Yeah, and I will second that. There's spiritual equality. Outside of that, there is none. Like in terms of, the testimony, in terms of inheritance, in terms of status, women are infantilized perpetually. You'll see, Saudi Arabia and Iran in some ways are like the, what the literal application of these show up as. And so women are not allowed to travel on their own. Pretty much like a lot of the situation that, Stacy was describing in the US until 1920. I was noticing the stark similarities there. Women are property, or they're not adults. They're not considered full adults or reliable witnesses, etc. So there's lots of ways in which, pretty much every religion that was around empire building does this and has been used as a basis for that.
Wow. Well, we're going to kind of begin to wind down, and I'd like to have each of you share either your website, which I can pull up, or what you want for people to know. How do we move forward? How can people get more support from you? I'm going to go to Eden first. And there's actually two things I know that I want to, I know Eden has one thing she asked to share, but I also want to encourage everybody every Thursday, that's tomorrow, the Oracle appears. And the Oracle is another aspect of our beloved Eden here. And it's really lovely. It's 11 o'clock every Thursday morning. I've tuned in a couple times, and she takes questions, and and I notice a lot of global peace tribers, some of the people that are here in this room come. So
Absolutely.
it's a wonderful way for us to continue to connect and to receive wonderful wisdom from Eden. So we'll put into the chat box how to connect. It's free of charge every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. So anything else you want to add about the Oracle offering? And then,
Yeah,
of course, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you all for the beloveds who have joined me for that. It's a gift from my heart to come into the greater collective. We have people from all over the world that show up. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. If there's something going on, like a full moon, I'll give a collective reading. We use these divine feminine divination cards, and that's part of the 13 Moon Mystery School. So if you come, you will receive both the benefit of being in this loving community where everyone is really holding space for each other. And you'll notice that the wisdom of the divine feminine archetypes is so deep and so vast that even if you didn't know, like, oh, I really needed that, it often resonates super deeply. Even if you don't get a personal reading, I try to invite newer people who haven't received a reading to raise their hands. And it's just a joy to connect with all of you. It's a gift from my heart. As Mana knows, these divine feminine archetypes bless up your life. They start to come and live through us, whether we're in a male or female body. The goddess is here for us all as a guide. So she has many different faces and many different ways that she can assist us in these times. I'd also love, thank you for all the love in the chat around that, because I know that people have received a lot of beautiful support from those free Thursday, 11 a.m. Pacific time meetings. And wow, Scott, even I think you dropped the Zoom link right in there. That's great. There's also a link, Scott. I'm not sure if that's the right Zoom link because it might change.
I took that from your email today.
Oh, that's great.
Your
Okay,
email
that
from
is
today, you took it from there.
Yeah, and when you come through that Zoom link, you won't automatically receive an email to remind you, but I'll drop into the chat the link to sign up, so you can receive a Zoom link every Thursday if you want to join. And then on October 31st, I'm offering a free live spiritual masterclass. And this is a little bit deeper. We're going to be talking about, just like Mana shared and Stacy shared, how important it is to live in harmony with the cycles of Earth, with Mother Earth, with nature, and with these larger processions of sun and earth and the turning of the wheel. These are like acupuncture points of potency for prayer on the planet. We know the 31st of October as just this kind of silly commercial holiday where kids dress up and they eat tons of sugar and then they get sick. We're going to lift the veil on that patriarchal spell and bring back the original, very beautiful celebration of Samhain. Samhain is when the veils are thin. Samhain is more connected to our ancestors. It's more connected to the spirit realms and the true nature of this time of year that we move towards the darkness of winter with the light in our heart held really brightly. So come to that free live spiritual masterclass. We're going to do a beautiful guided journey. You'll be held, you can share, you'll learn about ancestral wisdom, ancient elemental magic, and ways to connect to the feminine. that will really touch your heart. So I'd love to see you there. You can, Scott's showing the page. I think he's dropped the link in the chat. You can drop your info in and receive a Zoom link for that as well. I'd love to see you there.
And for those watching on Facebook, since you can't go into the Zoom room, you go to her website, Eden Amadora, that's her name, EdenAmadora.com, and then /live spiritual masterclass. Or if you just go to EdenAmadora.com and click on events, you'll be able to find it that way.
Yeah, there's free live offerings on my site, and you can sign up for all of them.
You are very, very generous, Eden. I so appreciate your generosity. It's awesome.
Joy, such a joy for me. Thank you.
Stacy, I'm going to go to you next. What would you like to ask our viewers to do, and where would you like for them to go?
Well, I am open to talking to anybody about coming up with a strategy to ensure the publication of ERA and raise awareness about the fact that we already have gender equality. We just need to push it over literally the 1 centimeter yard line. But I think that ultimately it's just our true nature. We're actually really, really powerful, as we've all been talking about tonight. And I think the power, I like to call it the powers that were. The powers that were are on their way out. We're rebirthing a new world based in peace. The powers that were have been good at subjugating the feminine, or subjugating in the areas of spirituality, sexuality, and sovereignty, and that will not stand, because we're here to be a family and be about love and peace. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I appreciate all the shares and all of the peace, and sending love to all. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, thank you, Stacy. And she does have a website where you can contact her, and it's her name, Stacy, spelled STACI, Weller, WELLER.org, stacyweller.org. Sign up and receive a free Feminine Power ebook. Tell us about that.
Well, I actually have been, and I think this is another thing to recognize, is the Divine Mother talks to us all the time, right? Mother Earth talks to us all the time. And I have a Vedic and a Tibetan lineage. The females were a very integral part of starting this. The Vedas were, a woman stood up and said, "Hey, I'm divine. We're all connected. There's no separation. We're one." So I think there's energies in us, and maybe we could call them chakras, but they're, aspects of the Divine Mother that are constantly talking to me. And I think Eden talks about this as well, that part of ourself, the divine feminine part of ourselves, is our wisdom, and we should pay attention to it. So that's part of my magic, and part of my medicine is I educate people about the Mahavidyas and the Shaktis, which I associate with chakras in the body. And I also teach meditation, and I'm a relationship coach. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. And we're good. Just also imagine peace on earth. Just like visualize it, right? Instead of focusing on the fear, because that's an illusion. And so what's made by a lower level of consciousness will be, can be switched by a higher level of consciousness. A higher level of consciousness will not continue to be ruled over by a lower level of consciousness. It's not possible. So
love that. I love what you're saying. We're transmuting those lower frequencies together. And as you're speaking about rising out of the imprinting of fear, I just wanted to share one last little tool for everyone. The letters of the word fear. We've seen this sometimes before as an acronym. Instead of that imprinted fight and flight, where it's forget everything and run. When we're afraid, we freeze, fawn, or fight or flight, right? So we're shifting that, as Stacy said, into feel everything and rise. Like Zasha said, together we rise. Together we rise.
Well, that's a perfect opportunity for us to bring Zasha back on. And I've had Sasha on the show before talking about a really beautiful organization that she is really kind of the key person making it happen. And it's the World Empowerment Trust. And I'm going to again put it into the chat box where you can find it. It grew out of ISTA. And Sasha, tell us about WET, that's the acronym for World Empowerment Trust, and how we can support you in your efforts.
Thank you so much, Scott. Feeling the sadness of coming to the closing of this was such a beautiful, beautiful conversation, and so grateful for everyone here. WET is, it's a passion project of mine. It's I'm hoping it can be that catalyst. The idea is, like, there is no rising unless it's rising together. And a lot of the times the focus has been the West. And the thing is that the West can only go so far without the rest. Yeah, and we need to have more global efforts in these areas. And when I found spirituality, modern spirituality, I was shocked because in Pakistan, you don't have any of that. And I could feel in my being that these transmissions, these upgrades, if they reach places like Pakistan, the kind of shifts they will generate. And so we've had so many from, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Syria. We've had Africans, we've got people from Latin America, who then sort of come through WET. Currently, we are only funding for ISTA trainings, and we would love for other schools to also work with us. We offer basically a pure volunteer-run setup where we are mentors, coaches, space holders. And what we do is it's a labor of love where people apply for funding, we mentor them. And if they reach that place where they're showing up, where they can show up for their communities back home, they pitch us a project proposal, which we support them every step of the way for. And then they go to those trainings and come back home and then set up a community empowerment project based on, which is basically the idea is to seed these upgrades into those lands. This is like an activism 2.0 of sorts, and we'll be building like a global network of love warriors. That's what we call ourselves, love warriors, across the world, supporting one another as we rise together. And it's like, when fires are lit everywhere and people can feel it, I don't see how this would not, shift. It's like when people can feel the love, it melts everything. And so that's the hope, that's the desire. So all the schools who offer such trainings, which they feel they can dedicate a percentage of their revenue to supporting people from the developing world, attend, please do contact us. And all those people who feel like supporting us and donating to us, also please do that. We are always short on funds, and we have such amazing, amazing beings that apply, that it's heartbreaking to not be able to support them. We are a zero cost operation, so every penny that you donate goes exactly to the people. And we don't even have a professional Zoom account. We have zero costs, so every single penny will go exactly where you want it to.
Thank you so much, Sasha, for the wonderful work that you're doing. I just have so much admiration for you. It's always good to see you. Thank you. Thank you. And finally, Mana. We heard more about her story, but Mana is a bioenergetic medical medium, intuitive counselor, and embodiment temple keeper. She has over a decade of experience working with naturopaths and alternative medical doctors. And what's amazing is that yesterday I went to Jaizen Labs and I saw her and I thought she looks familiar. We kind of looked at each other, not knowing that it was her. So that's kind of a little small world moment for me. I'm in Marin County and she works at an incredible facility in Mill Valley. It's like the state of the art. But Mana, tell us a little bit about your offerings and how people can contact and connect with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I work as a medical medium at Jaizen Labs, and which is in Mill Valley. Which here I do frequency therapy for different ailments to support people into healing through sound, and also I teach people how to use their connect to earth through grounding and teach them energetic management, how to tend to their energy field and be full of themselves so the they come into balance from within and without. And I also offer Kundalini body work and intuitive healing sessions and shamanic keys, which I listen and hold space for people, and their spirit gives me symbols, and I just tell or draw the symbols to for the person, and their energy balances, and holding a mirror, and also in any way that I can support, I'll guide people into more embodiment. And raising into their own ecstasy. And as Rumi says, our job is not to seek for love, but merely to remove anything against love within ourselves. So I support people to become empty so they can receive uh, their own soul, their own spirit grounded into this plane.
So beautiful, Mana. I'm just going to say the name of Mana's site so people who are listening on the other channels will know. She can be reached at spiritarts.life@gmail.com, and you can email her directly at spiritarts.life. Oh no, excuse me, that was the email. You can go to her site, www.spiritarts.life. And Mana, can you work remotely through Zoom or phone with people? Yes, she's nodding her head. For sure. I have experienced Mana's healing arts and incredible wisdom. And I feel very blessed to live nearby because I also have experienced her Kundalini body work, and it's amazing. So for the local friends in Northern California, don't hesitate to visit Mana.
Beautiful. Well, one last time, taking a look at all of our presenters, what a powerful show. And I really want to encourage everybody, all the people in our Zoom room, you're going to get, an email in a few days with the link to this. I'll put the link up on my Facebook page. Let's get this out. This is a show that I really wish everybody could watch. So let's share it with our friends. I'll put the Facebook version is already available. So I'll put the link to the Facebook version right now into the chat box. And then we'll have the YouTube link ready by tomorrow. And thank you, Mana, Stacy, Zasha, beloved Eden. And as always, we conclude with Omashar providing us with a closing song.
May I add one little thing right before? I just want to, thank you. I just want to urge everyone, please support the ERA. This is so important for the world as well as the US, right? It's important for women the world over because US is looked at for these things. Like in Pakistan, it affects us in Pakistan even when America is not able to do something so like accept something so basic that we have legal equality. Back in Pakistan, it becomes, see, even they don't do it. So aha, we're right. It becomes that. So this is for the world just as much. Please spread this far and wide and make this happen. We would love America to be back in the leading position on women's rights, which it lost a while ago, unfortunately.
Thank you for that wonderful reminder. And I know Stacey's especially happy that you did that. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have a lot of work to do, everybody. We have a lot of work to do. And let's do it with joy. And let's do it with love, which is why we always have lots of music, including our beloved house musical artist, Omashar.
so hard to move along, saying goodbye to yesterday. Take heart, my friends, there is a new song, bring us back to our homelands. When something troubles you, just call out my name. I am the one who loves you. Be still within, hear what I say, and give me the chance to be with you. We are one heart, one mind, one soul, working together to heal. And there are no walls between us now. It's a celebration of union. So when you're feeling down and on your own, take a look around. I am in everything. Give me your burden, walk into my arms. I will lift you up, I will hold you. We are one heart, one mind, one soul, working together to heal. And there are no walls between us now. It's a celebration of union. We are the ones who hear the new voice calling us home to freedom. Fear not, my friends, this is a new place full of new joys and happiness. Yes, we are one heart, one mind, one soul, working together to heal. And there are no walls between us now. It's a celebration of union.
I love the gong at the end. That's awesome. Let's all
Gong wind.
let's give some love to Omar Shah. Much Omar Shah for always choosing the perfect song and just bringing us into our hearts of joy, even when we're
I was taken so deep inside me tonight. I did not know my heart could open even more widely. And holy smoke, I felt like I was on the abyss of something even so huge that I almost scared to dive in, but with our group help, I know that we can dive in together and raise each other. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Omar Shah. And we are blessed. Omar Shah is with us for every show. He is truly my co-pilot. And Omar Shah and I will both be back this Saturday night. And we got a really great show scheduled, a lot of guests. Meet the Dreamers. Who are the Dreamers? Well, you're going to learn all about that on Saturday night. We've got several musical artists, actually. Caressa Ayers, Liza Garza, and Gio are all musical artists. My co-host is the wonderful Piper Dellums. And you're going to learn about this amazing group. They call themselves the Dreamers. And they are doing some pretty amazing things in our world. So to learn all about it, join us on Saturday night for that awakening world. And may we all take what we learned today, a lot of information, a lot of inspiration. I have so much respect for each of our presenters and for all of you watching. And like I said before, let's take tonight's show. This is one of those shows that send it out to the world and send it to a friend. Let's have a watch party at your house to watch it again. I put into the chat box the link to the recording of the show. It's the Facebook version of the show, and we'll have it up on our YouTube channel tomorrow. I'm going to go to gallery view one last time. Thank you, everybody. It's all Twinkle, and look forward to seeing you all again on Saturday night. And thanks again to our wonderful presenters.